Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. In just 3 hours from now, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will present her record ninth budget. The only woman finance minister in the country to hold this unique record of presenting 9 consecutive budgets under Prime Minister Narendra Modi. But this budget is very different from the past 8 budgets of the Modi government. We are in a rare Goldilocks phase, high growth, low inflation. Our macroeconomic particulars are looking extremely healthy. India is seen as a bright spot in the global economy that is facing geopolitical storms. Resilient, stable and marching forward. Our growth rate remains fastest in the world. But, what's a story without suspense? Experts say we need to be careful of the word that begins with the letter T, that is threat. The rules-based order is threatened by the law of the jungle. India has managed to turn tariff threat into an opportunity by signing a number of FTAs, including the mother of all deals with the EU. But it won't really be that easy ahead for Bharat to become Viksit by 2047 in a fragmented world. India needs some big, bold reforms, setting the tone for reforms. The Prime Minister, ahead of the budget, said India is on a reform express. And while we may expect some key budget announcements today, on that front, the opposition has remained unconvinced, as always, over the last 11.5 years. The term dead economy is not Rahul Gandhi's original creation. We know who said it first, but Rahul Gandhi wants to now patent this line for India under Modi.
लेकिन इस सरकार की ये पहचान रही है रिफॉर्म, परफॉर्म एंड ट्रांसफॉर्म। और अब तो हम रिफॉर्म एक्सप्रेस पर चल पड़े हैं। आज समय समाधान का है। मैं सभी माननीय सांसदों से आग्रह करूंगा कि वे आए, राष्ट्र के लिए आवश्यक समाधानों के दौर को हम गति दें, निर्णयों को हम शक्ति दें और लास्ट माइल डिलीवरी में हम सफलतापूर्वक आगे बढ़ें।
He's right. I mean, everybody knows this, except the Prime Minister and the Finance Minister. Everybody knows that the Indian economy is a dead economy. I'm glad that President Trump has stated a fact.
Well, Rahul Gandhi is not somebody who gets convinced very easily, and Prime Minister Modi keeps chugging along, taking that criticism in his stride. But today, as we decode what's ahead in the budget, what Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman is going to bring for all of us, I'm joined by a very, very distinguished panel of experts, starting with you, Monica Hallan. Monica Hallan, who doesn't know her? I wish I could just hand over all my money, whatever there is left after taxes, to you, and plan it for me, because whichever way I invest it, it doesn't seem to get me anywhere. So, Monica Hallan, what are your 3 big expectations from Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman this morning?
I'm hoping that she does not give in to the bank lobbying and increase the long-term capital gains tax. Okay. The Indian SIP investor has really held the line.
Yes.
When the FIIs have been taking money out, it is the 2,000 rupee SIP that Mr. Jain in Noida does, which is holding up the markets.
Mrs. Kumar in Noida as well.
That's right, that's right. So I'm just hoping that, you know what, the banks need to get their act together, but trying for parity with the risk asset is not the way to go. So that is one, definitely.
Okay.
And I think they need to take away the tax benefit for life insurance policies, because those are heavily missold through the same banks. So take that away, absolutely. And the last is more macro, which is something I've been saying. I would hope for a policy statement for something called a seller beware market in retail finance. Let the person selling the product be responsible for what she sells, and let the household be a partner and not a victim of financialization.
I'm all for empowering all of those consumers who get conned out there. So that's Monica Alan. Good morning to you, Dr. Anand Ranganathan.
Good morning.
Are you in a okay mood, or are you angry with the Congress party for something? And what are your big expectations this morning?
No, good morning to you and to my wonderful fellow panelists. I speak here as a pure layman. And I think when you asked what are our expectations, I would say right now we are truly at an inflection point. You know, we've pried open the door to real prosperity, but everything would crumble to dust if we do not reform.
What is the one big reform you're looking at?
There are 3 or 4 big reforms I'm looking at. One is the farm law should be brought back. The second is privatization should be done with an absolute, gusto. And where do I even begin on the science and tech reforms? But I think this should be more than a dream budget. This should be a scream budget. We are screaming for reforms, and every time what happens, in that sense, if I have 30 seconds, I want to explain this with a metaphor.
You'll take them anyway, so go ahead.
Okay. India has been suffering with a rotten tooth. And every year we come along and do the root canal treatment. Sometimes we even put a gold filling, upar wo capital investment infusion kar diya. We need to pluck the tooth out, We need
and
to
have dentures imported from
China. I don't know about that.
Imported from.
But reform. There will be no perform or transform without reform.
Okay, I take your word for it, but farm laws, if you expect them to come up, I think you're just in for a cup of coffee and nothing much in the budget if you're expecting the farm laws to come in with the elections in 5 states around the corner. Jaggi, it's wonderful to have you back in our studios, and who needs any introduction of our Jagannathan? Economist par excellence, and he's been somebody we've looked up to as a journalist. Jaggi, what are your big expectations from this budget?
First thing, you must lower those big expectations, because last year it was Chhappar Phar ke budget and Chhappar Phar ke GST benefits, right? So nobody at the individual level should be expecting any great concessions. This is about broad picture things. This is for the first time we have entered into so many FTAs with so many countries. So this year is about preparation. This year is making an industrial policy, which now, by the way, all nations are adopting, to make it work, which means you have to be focused on sectors, supply chains, you got to make sure logistics works. Those are the things. And more than being in a Goldilocks economy, we are actually in a Goldlocks economy, which means we are moving away from a dollar standard to something that is multi-standard, even Goldlocks. Every country is buying gold, and you know where the price of gold are. In the
but it just crashed 2 days ago.
No, that's okay. It's good that it crashes, because it's becoming irrational.
Really good.
But
pearl necklace.
And the government has made a disastrous decision when it started this sovereign gold bonds. It has to now, that luckily they stopped it about 1.5 2 years ago.
2.5% interest on that.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's giving a free lunch and extremely good desert.
And to go with it.
Yeah, so I think we have to look at each sector separately, reverse the inverted structures. You have to make sure that you have to look at each sector carefully, bit by bit, and making sure that each one of them works. Because when the EU FTA starts working by the end of the year or early next year, remember, this is the mother of all deals, but EU is the mother of all regulators. Okay, so if you are not able to meet those regulatory standards, whether CBAM or whatever it is, your trade is not going to flourish. So you have to do those micro reforms at every level of government, center, state, local, and that can't be done in the budget. The budget can give the roadmap, but the pit stops are more important.
What the budget strives to do. I also want to introduce my colleagues. Madhav Das Gopalakrishnan joining this broadcast. Good morning to you, Madhav. Also joining me, Hina Gambhir. She has her pulse on what's happening. We used to be so used to saying North Block, but now we have to say Kartavya Bhavan.
By the way, this time the halwa ceremony happened and they did not release pictures.
Why?
Because it was a new location probably. I mean, we're still waiting for...
Cameras are portable these days. They could have gone to the new location.
You remember that picture of the finance minister that went viral wherein she was standing like this and eating halwa?
I think Rahul Gandhi and his caste description did it. Since then, we've not seen too many halwa pictures coming out. Is that true, Mother?
Well, I don't know about Rahul Gandhi and his impact, but certainly Kartavya Bhavan and security standards are being spoken about quite heavily. Whether that has something to do with this, we don't know. But what is the halwa that will come out as far as the budget is concerned? What will happen to our personal taxes? All of those are going to be part B. But part B is supposed to be bigger. So what happens there? That's
Jaggi has already told you, and just take his word for it. You're getting nothing at the individual taxpayer level. So just take a deep breath. Alom Vilom. Morning session is something that will keep our expectations under control. But let me come back to Rohit Azad. And Rohit Azad, what are your expectations?
I think one thing which nobody is discussing is the issue of pollution. I think it's a big public health risk. And if there's one thing which this budget needs to do, it needs to do something on pollution. North India is just unlivable. I mean, all of us know how Delhi is fared. 2 days, just 2 days in a year is what we get in terms of clean air. That is a serious problem, and the budget can do something about it. I don't know whether it would. So we need a Clean Air Act. I think the second thing I would say which is important is gainful employment. That is something which drives your economy. That is what generates mass demand. And I think that is something which needs to be addressed. And third, which is linked to it, is how do you propel corporate investment? Government cannot be doing the weightlifting alone. So there needs to be something there. Whether it would be or not, we'll see when she speaks.
Well, very cogently put, but when you say meaningful employment, you know, I'm so tempted to get a reaction from Anand Ranganathan. Meaningful employment, who will be first on the list to get that employment? Anand Ranganathan, I'd love to hear what your imagination throws up.
As soon as he returns to India, we'll know.
All right. Phew, you may as well, clean up your clothes. Gusharan Das, good morning. Lovely to have you in our studios. And what are your expectations from this budget, the 9th record budget being presented by Nirmala Sitharaman?
Well, I think the mantra, not only of this budget, but of our economy and of our generation, for the next generation, is the word competitiveness. That unless we become competitive, and that's why I think the turmoil we have gone through is realizing how uncompetitive we are. And that's how we'll create jobs. Jobs is the biggest, formal jobs is the biggest issue. We may be the fastest growing big economy in the world. Inflation may have come down, all the good things you said. But we have failed to create an industrial revolution. And unless manufacturing employs only 11% of the people, 45% of the people are on the farm, and that keeps the farm incomes so low.
The rest is government.
So my point is, there's only one priority. And, you know, the best news of the last year for me was this push for deregulation. We are the most regulated country in the world. Thanks to the team lease people, they tell us that there are 1,536 acts that we have to comply with. 6,618 filings have to be done, and 69,233 compliances that have to be done. So the best news was to create the deregulation commissions, these committees, 3 committees, and they have started doing good work. And I would hope that 2026 would be a year when they will really go gangbusters, and they have the support. There's a reform breeze blowing, and ultimately we have to change the mindset of the bureaucracy, the way China did. The bureaucracy has to learn to say yes rather than no, just as politicians have to learn to say no rather than yes. And so, therefore, I would say...
That's a tough one, Gusharan Das. Politicians have to learn to say no, and bureaucracy has to learn to say yes. And that is a conundrum between which the Indian economy is precariously balanced. That's a tough one. Also joining me this morning, GVL Narasimha Rao, national spokesperson and former Member of Parliament of the BJP. Joining me is Salem Dharnidharan, national spokesperson of the DMK. Tehseen Poonawala joining this broadcast, as is Vivek Srivastav. Salem Dharnidharan, elections in Tamil Nadu, what are you expecting? Do you think Nirmala Sitharaman, because last year you criticized the budget because there was a Bihar budget, and then in election time you said nothing has been given to Bihar. Is it going to be the same from the point of view of Tamil Nadu this time?
No, there are two things, what you allocate and what you actually do. Of course, it was symbolic allocation to states that were going into election, or the states on which the BJP was dependent in running this government. But I'll go beyond politics and say what is important for the country. We need to have better healthcare, we need to have better education, we need to have better employment opportunities. So the spending for healthcare in India is nearly 1/3 of what it is in the developed world. So the healthcare spending, I expect to see it increase. The education budget is one of the lowest.
I just have to interrupt you for a minute. Going across to my colleague Priyank, joining us from Mr. Pankaj Chaudhary's Minister of State for Finance's residence, and those visuals on your screen. The day begins on Raisina Hill as activity begins. Mr. Pankaj Chaudhary, the Minister of State, leaving his residence. Over to you, Priyank. Any word? What is he saying?
Navika, Pankaj Chaudhary is leaving from here. He will be straight away going towards the Finance Minister. Let's get his reaction. देखिए, पिछले 11 सालों से प्रधानमंत्री जी ने जो उनके नेतृत्व में जो बजट पेश हुआ, देश की जनता की आकांक्षाओं पे और देश को आगे बढ़ाने वाला बजट था। और आज का बजट जो पेश हो रहा है 2047 के विकसित भारत को ध्यान में रख करके बजट आएगा। कैसे देख रहे हैं पंकज जी, क्या रहेगा आज के बजट में? मैंने पहले भी कहा कि 2047 के विकसित भारत को बनाने के दृष्टिकोण से ये बजट होगा। Navika, I'm not sure how much we were able to listen to what Pankaj Chaudhary was saying.
We heard it. Viksit Bharat 2047 is the agenda, and that Viksit Bharat is something that is on his agenda. GVL Narasimha Rao, Viksit Bharat is still some time down the line. Till then, there are day-to-day issues that we need to go through. Yes, Viksit Bharat is the objective that we are working towards. But the entire panel of experts here saying that reforms have really been rather slow given the kind of mandate. Do you think this budget is going to see an acceleration of those reforms, the farm laws, great step taken back? How much are we going to work only based on political pressures, and how much are we going to push on reforms looking at the geopolitical, compulsions that we have today?
Yeah, good morning, Navika, and to all the panelists in the studios. I have been in the same slot with you possibly for the last 10 years, if I distinctly remember. And I have never seen the mood so positive and joyous in your own studios on the budget day. That tells you about the mood of experts, mood of people throughout the country.
It could only be because we are speaking before the budget. After the budget, there are no guarantees if the mood will sustain.
No. No, in all the last 10 budgets, the mood in the morning itself was so tense, full of anxiety, full of expectations and anxiety. Today, I see a sense of assurance, a sense of calmness. That's just an observation. But throughout the country, every section of the society feels assured that under Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, not only has the economy has been steered very ably, but every section has been taken care of. You don't, in a country of this diversity and size, you will always see some sections in great pain or anxiety, but today I can tell you there is a sense of calmness, sense of assurance, and 11 years of Modi governments versus 21 years of Viksit Bharat to go. Modi ji has set the 11 years innings on a very firm footing. As you rightly mentioned at the start, our macroeconomic fundamentals are extremely positive, extremely strong. Despite the global headwinds, the manner in which the economy is being steered, the manner in which we are trying to ensure that we remain the highest, fastest growing economy in the world. We keep our fiscal deficits at manageable levels, able to reduce the fiscal deficit, able to contain debt to GDP ratios, able to create jobs. I think this is something that people of the country are already experiencing and observing. I can tell you this budget will be certainly a major step towards achieving Viksit Bharat, which fundamentally requires a lot more steam into the economy.
Well, I agree with you, GVL Narasimha Rao. We need to be disciplined, but I don't know where that discipline message goes when elections come, because in every state you are packaging more and more freebies. There is competitive freebie dole out that happens before elections. 1st of February you feel like this. I don't know by end of February what you will be doing. That we'll wait and find out. But Tehseen Poonawala, you've been smiling. Are you smiling because you agree with GVL Narasimha Rao, who says there is euphoria and everybody is just so happy on budget morning that everything is in good shape and we are a fit economy, fastest growing large economy, and we've arrived on the global scene? I hope you're agreeing with him.
Good morning, Navika. Good morning to all my fellow panelists. First of all, congratulations to Times Now and the team for 20 years of fantastic journalism.
Thank you very much. And yes, it's a milestone. We are very proud
Anand and
to
me and
present.
all of us have been a part of this in a way. So
Absolutely. 20 years non-stop on Times Now, and I must have done 3 dozen budgets, including, some of the budgets before election and a new budget after election. And thank you very much. Flattery will get you
only
Anand Ranganathan.
Only Navika has more money to do SIPs with Monica. But no, the reason I was smiling is because the Honourable Member Parliament said that nobody is tense, nobody has any expectations. Nobody has any expectations. That's why now we've all released. But, there are 2 or 3 things I would like to flag. It is true that the economy is stable, we are fast growing. But one of the major problems that we have is the Babugiri and the regulations in our nation. And we are a country, for every solution the Babu creates a problem. Unless we don't get rid of this problem called Babus, and we have to take tough decisions where we need to start reducing these Babus, compounded with the freebie. Now, the economic survey report speaks about the freebie culture that's going on. This is going to cripple us in the long run. We are spending money that is not ours, only to win elections, and I'm not blaming one single party, but political parties led by the Prime Minister need to sit down and define this. You can't 2 days before an election start putting 10,000 in people's accounts or start giving scooties to women and say this is what it is.
All right, I'm interrupting you. Those are shots of Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman leaving her Safdarjung Road residence, going across to Kritika, who's standing by. Kritika, any word?
Well, the Finance Minister has just left.
Well, we seem to have lost that audio with Kritika, but those are visuals of Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, and that's an early start to the day. At 8:24 this morning, both the Minister of State and the Finance Minister have left their residence to go to Kartavya Bhavan. Is the distance increased, Hina?
Well, distance hasn't, but maybe it's a new route this time, and the speech perhaps is going to be longer, so maybe they want to start early. I think that's the only reason.
The speech will only begin at 11 o'clock if I know parliamentary procedures. So, leaving early?
Yeah, that's actually quite surprising, because normally we see this post around 9 o'clock typically. And then it's not just the finance ministry. She will, of course, customarily go to Rashtrapati Bhavan. There will be a formality of a cabinet meeting that will happen in Parliament as well, and following which the budget speech. So definitely a very early start compared to what we've been seeing over the last several years, which just increases the suspicion and doubt about what is this big announcement, what are this, is it going to be more of a policy directive as Mr. Ranganathan was saying, or is this something specific that's going to be announced as far as this budget is concerned? And of course, Viksit Bharat 2047, what are the big announcements in relation to that? What is the roadmap ahead? What is the vision ahead? All of that perhaps will be only clarified once the speech begins.
Only that it's going to
yes,
be
we have breaking news coming in, and that is the big breaking news. Exclusive information coming across to us that this time the budget formulations are slightly different from the run-of-the-mill budget. Part A normally had whatever was then done in the policy way, which are the big schemes. Ahead of the budget presentation this time, we had this inside scoop that this year's budget presentation will be a very unique one among all the budgets that we have come across in the last 75 years. Earlier budget speeches typically had a lot of detail in Part A, while Part B was only a few announcements on taxation, excise and customs in the earlier days, some GST indications now. But this time, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman is expected to speak in great detail in Part B, giving some short-term and long-term goals. Can you give us details, Hina?
See, Navika, this time the budget's focus is to ensure India becomes Viksit by 2047. And to meet that goal, before that as well, we have certain goals. We want to become the third largest economy by 2030. We are very close to achieving that particular target. But how do we do it given the Trump factor? Because industry has also said, make us Trump-proof. If you want us to invest, if you want us to loosen purse strings, create jobs in the economy, make us Trump-proof. So, you know, the government's task is cut out there. And that's the reason why focus is going to be largely on big bang, bold reforms. That's something that the government is going to be focusing on. Prime Minister himself has said we are already on Reform Express. Prime Minister has given a clear direction to the industry as well. Pull up your socks, focus on quality, because we have given you the mother of all deals. Now you ensure that you focus.
But can
on
we
quality.
actually make our growth story Trump-proof? I want to get you know, across the panel your reactions. Can we make it Trump-proof? Is this something that the government can ensure private sector?
Whatever we've seen till now. So I think Mr. Trump has thrown what he could at us. And I think we've dealt with it fairly well. The economy hasn't crashed. We've seen FII outflows, which is a separate story. Okay, it's partly related to what is happening in the US. But I think we've done well. Look at our growth numbers. Look at the way the macro stability is still in place. So I think the private sector has to just stop crying.
I know, they've been crying forever and ever, Jaggi. And Gursharan Das.
Quick one. I think actually Trump has done us a favor because we have focused ever since then on making ourselves competitive. Whether it is in tariffs or in other areas, it has openness. With these deals, we are showing a new openness, a new confidence to join up with the world. And unless we join the global value chains, we're not going to achieve our 2047 Viksit Bharat.
Anand Ranganathan, you wanted to come in.
Yeah, I have a slightly different perspective. I mean, while my
Always.
good friend...
You can never be following what the Janta is saying. You have to be different.
No, you know, I mean, as opposed to what my good friend Monica says, the private sector has to stop crying. I believe the government has to stop making the private sector cry. You know, there's a very good friend of mine. I don't know whether Monica knows him or not. Gautam Chekarmane. He's
kind of,
just
kind
about.
of.
Yes.
Yeah. They just happen to be married for the last, what, 30 years?
Sorry, I had no idea.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. He wrote an incredible, co-authored an incredible work called Jailed for Doing Business. And what he says is that an MSME that employs an average of 150 people spends 18 lakhs per year just in filing compliances. There are 69,000 compliances. The government has to unshackle. If you want it to be competitive, you can't be running on a treadmill. You have to
preaching to the converted.
Yes.
Everyone on this panel has said that that is the one single biggest problem that our economy has, the number of compliances and regulations that we have. But visuals coming in, and this is the first time I'm excited as a reporter to look at these visuals. First time the finance minister reaching. There she is, the red sari. Is it a Kanjivaram giving indication of the Tamil Nadu elections coming in? I don't know. But normally there is a message even in the sari that she wears. Yes. But she's just reached, going across to my colleague Pragya and also Niyamika, who's joining me from Kartavya Bhavan. Niyamika, she's gone in silently, no word to the media there. Rishabh?
Well, yes, indeed. Just now we have seen that how the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has reached here at Kartavya Bhavan. You can see behind me that these are the pictures from Kartavya Bhavan. Just in a few minutes from now, it is the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman along with her team of experts who are going to be here for the photo opportunity before she will leave for Parliament, as she is going to present the union budget for the 9th consecutive time. And for that reason, now firstly she has arrived here at the Finance Ministry, which is currently at Kartavya Bhavan, and along with her team of experts she will be here along holding the Bahi Khata in her hand. As in the visuals we have seen that how today the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman is also wearing a red color sari. That is also an indication which she has given, as she will be coming out here in front of media for the pictures before she is going to table the union budget for the 9th consecutive time. There are many hopes which the people are having from this particular union budget, whether there will be any relief for the middle class people, as how it is going to accelerate the growth of India for achieving the goals of Viksit Bharat 2047.
Absolutely, Niyamika, because the big elephant in the room is how will she pave the way for greater levels of growth to meet the targets of Viksit Bharat by 2047. Rishabh joining us, and Rishabh, there's this very nice convention. The finance minister routinely comes to the finance ministry first, picks up. Earlier it used to be a briefcase with the budget documents, then it went to a Bahi Khata, and then it's moved to a tablet that she carries, and Nirmala Sitharaman doing it out of Kartavya Bhavan for the first time. And when she comes out, the entire team, the budget team of her officials, of the Minister of State, led by the Finance Minister, will now proceed to Rashtrapati Bhavan to brief the President about what the budget really contains, because that's the convention. President, as the head of the Consolidated Fund of India, holds the chabi to the Tijori, and the safe where all the money really comes in for government expenditure. So, Rishabh, Finance Minister headed to President House after this?
Well, definitely, Navika, we are here at Kartavya Bhavan 1. This is for the first time that the Finance Ministry has prepared the budget here. Earlier, there used to be a briefcase, then it turned to a Bahi Khata, and now it is a tab, which means that the printing press legacy has now ended. That also significantly means that the quarantine period for the Finance Ministry officials have also decreased. Now, Finance Minister has just reached Kartavya Bhavan. Before her, Pankaj Chaudhary, MOS Finance, and before him it was Finance Secretary Ajay Seth who had reached Kartavya Bhavan. The meeting is going on. After this, at around 9 a.m., what we are given to understand that the team will come here just in front of where we read Kartavya Bhavan 1 for the photo opportunity. From here on, she will move to Rashtrapati Bhavan to brief the first citizen of the country and the head of the Consolidated Fund of India about the budget. From there on, she'll go to Parliament as per procedure, where at 10:30 we are given to understand that the cabinet will sit and pass the pass the budget before it's presented to the Parliament at around 11 a.m. So the schedule is set. But what's new this time? There are certain things that we are looking at between last budget and this budget. If we talk about international relations of this country, EU-India FTA has happened. India, New Zealand FTA has been announced.
India, Oman
FTA has happened.
And UAE, yeah. In fact, 4 of those trade deals happening in the last 6 months. And really, India is egging on in the absence of what we say the Trump hangover. We are carrying on. Vivek Srivastav, I want to ask you, are you happy and satisfied that the GDP is cruising along at a very comfortable place? Inflation is down. Things seem to be up, looking up, because unemployment, which had gone up to about 5.2, is down to 4.9. Of course, the lowest point was 3.2% about 2024 end, but not so bad at this moment. So are you happy we are in a good place as an economy, as a country?
No, I think we are a very unbalanced economy. A lot of disparity over there, which as somebody from the left or as a communist, I feel there is a lot of gap between the rich and the poor. I'm expecting the Honorable Finance Minister to say something about the MSP. She promised something about the farmers. Point number 1. They badly need it. It's a long-standing demand. What is to be done? And Tehseen here mentioned about Freebies, which I agree with him that yes, I mean, whenever elections come, we start distributing money. It should stop, but however, it should not be confused with subsidies. Subsidies are a necessity. Welfare means are a necessity. So we need to have a strong differentiating factor. Nationalization has to happen, and the banking sector is not doing very well as far as I know. Manufacturing is not in a very good shape. Any country which has to grow, be it China or be it the United States, Germany or Japan, the backbone has to be the manufacturing industry. We are not doing well. As somebody from the opposition, I mean, I'm just...
so Vivek Srivastav, I've got a sense of everything that is bad. I want your suggestion. I want your suggestion on what the government should do, which will bring a smile on your face, which you will think, they've done it and done it well. Kya chahiye?
I believe start working more towards reforming and controlling your bureaucracy.
Tell me which reform and how.
Not economic reforms. Not economic reforms. Labor
then
reforms,
which reform? Reforming
labor
minds.
Reforms number 1. I'm telling you, labor reforms. You got the 4 labor codes. Absolutely not. They're not going down with us. All the trade union federations are protesting about it. Since 2019, हमने पूरी कोशिश की लागू ना हो.
Which reform? Please tell me which reform.
Yes, I'm telling you. Number 1, labor reforms. Number 2, MSPs should be implemented as soon as possible. Number 3, ये twisted freebies जैसे आपने लाडली बहन योजना शुरू करा, आपने महाराष्ट्र में करा, इलेक्शन आया, बिहार में क्या इलेक्शन आया, पूरे देश में करेंगे क्या? पूरे देश में करेगी बीजेपी?
Narasimha Rao, on the one hand they want governments to reduce the inequalities, on the other they are against any support that is given to the underprivileged classes. What is it that they are confused about?
Obviously, you see the political reverses that the opposition has suffered. The left is today, except Kerala, they are not to be seen anywhere in the country. The Congress is again going towards extinction. I think they will not be able to return to power in states where they are already in power. So I think they are certainly in pain. This is one section of the country, the opposition, which is certainly not liking the way things are. But people, as I mentioned, are quite happy. Let me tell you about the challenges that we have been talking about. Prime Minister Modi ji loves challenges. Let me say this without any hesitation. He lives up to expectations. I think you put him against a challenge, be it in an election or in an economic situation or a personal adversity, he comes out in flying colors. You look at his history, his track record for 25 years. So therefore, anyone, when the going gets tough, Modi gets going. I think you will see this happen repeatedly. That has been his personal, I would say, character, charisma, and that's how he has delivered.
For once, the Congress supporter here is agreeing with you. Are you agreeing with him, Tehseen Poonawalla, or are you agreeing with Rahul Gandhi, who says our economy is a dead economy?
The truth is somewhere in between, ma'am. Let's just say one
Rahul's
thing.
not right, you're saying.
I don't think it's a dead economy. I really don't think it's a dead economy, and I disagree. And I think
He doesn't take your advice?
may I make a more substantial point, ma'am?
No, but does he take your advice?
If he did, he would have 200 seats. But ma'am, can I make a more substantial point? Can I just make a more substantial point? Look, ma'am, I think the biggest challenge our nation has, apart from these reforms, is tax terrorism and GST. All of these platitudes that GVL Narasimha Rao ji is giving means zero and means nothing. These are vague stuff. Businessmen today, and Monica spoke about investment falling down, or I think Sir spoke about it, investment falling down in manufacturing, etc. The prime cause is not Donald Trump, is not other things. The prime cause is tax terrorism and GST. Ma'am, you said something, and I was a little upset. You said, why do industrialists cry? No, ma'am, we create jobs. We have a right to ask. We are contributors to this nation as much as anybody else, and we are treated extremely badly. We must
Ask
be treated.
Rahul Gandhi about it, no?
Ma'am, you must
Because
allow,
he
ma'am,
picks up on big
you must allow me to make
business.
points.
Rohit Azad?
Absolutely bogus, I think.
Are you serious?
Just 1 second. The government gave them a tax cut from 30 to 22%. It gave them PLI. So it's not as if that there's tax terrorism and because of which corporates are not investing. They're not investing because there's not enough demand in the economy. That is what needs to be addressed instead of just putting everything on reforms. And you said that everybody here agrees about reform. No, I don't. I think you don't throw the baby with the bathwater. There are many things. For example, on the issues of finance, it's because we had certain regulations that we could come out of the global economic crisis. Every other country faced it. We didn't. And those regulations are important. You cannot say all regulations are wrong. You may have an opinion on certain, but it's not as if everything is wrong there.
All right.
Compliance.
Anand.
Get the economics right. If you want to say something about the economy,
I need to come back to you on which part of the economy of the polity do you represent? The industrialist side, the Garib Admi side.
Why is industrialist a bad word? Why is it always?
I don't know.
We have to create.
Ask Rahul Gandhi.
It's not Rahul Gandhi. It's even the government. It's even the left. It's everybody. Look at how the ED's gone behind industrialists. Yesterday, an industrialist committed suicide in Karnataka. There is tax terrorism in our country. There is GST extortion in our country. Please accept this.
Okay, Anand, Ranganathan, are we painting a picture only from one side without taking facts into account?
No, I think a lot of what my good friend Mr. Azad is saying is right. But can I slightly disagree with Mr. GVL Rao when he says that Kerala is the only place where the left is. I think there are two other places, JNU and the media. You have, but when Vivek says that we don't need more reforms, I think, as I said, I mean, of course, he is batting for his country, but if I'm batting for my country, India,
which country?
I'd leave that to him. But there are three things. Let's be honest about it. Even the labor, they are not reformed, they're restructuring. And the restructuring, as far as the labor restructuring that has happened recently, it's a good thing, it's from the point of view of the employee. What India needs are labor reforms from the point of view of the employer. Now, unless that happens, I'm afraid. One second. Can I just finish? The point of the matter is, unless you unshackle the private sector, you are not going to get anywhere. You've now opened the market, the world markets for India.
Yeah, that doesn't mean
28%. So Vivek, 1 second.
Vivek, what is agitating you? What is agitating you?
No. I mean, come on. Ye kya baat kya kar rahe hain? It's a garib mulk hai. It's a poor country, and the labor class.
It's a poor country because of you.
We need a government control. We need government
control. There are two things.
Less government control.
There are two things that we need immediately. One, we need to, as completely opposite of what Vivek is saying, we need to get rid of MSP. Get rid of MSP. And number two, we need to get rid of government owning any corporates. So as what Narendra Modi said in 2013, repeated in 2019 and 21, a government has no business to be in business. Bas ye do cheeze kar do. Mera vote.
I think what these gentlemen are trying to get at, the tax terrorism that he talked about, is really an original sin that we committed. In 1991, we did the reforms, but we did not do the administrative reforms that other countries did at the same time. In other words, in China, they changed the incentive system of the bureaucracy, where a bureaucrat in India is a colonial bureaucracy, it wins brownie points for saying no. In China, he is judged for the investment that he brings in at the local level.
Yeah. I'm all for targets being given to all bureaucrats in terms of incentives. Jaggi, you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, see, I think whether you want to use the word tax terrorism or not, the obsession that government must collect more taxes needs to be given up. Secondly, I think our problem is from 1991.
So where did freebies come from?
No, just one sec. We reformed capital, we did not reform labor, land, agri, nothing. So what do you think? You will have jobs when you don't reform the other things. You only reform capital. Obviously, I'll borrow capital instead of hiring labor.
All right,
so how would I
reforms, I agree with you, but if you do not collect taxes, how do you run the kind of infrastructure programs that you are running, the kind of freebies that you want to give?
We are collecting more taxes.
Yeah, so then they've been at it to collect more.
But you've had the highest number of HNIs leaving India apart from England. Why? Because of this GST extortion and tax terrorism. You need to celebrate. HNIs need to be in India. Today, ma'am, tell me you buy 100 crore flat in Gurugram. If God forbid you meet with an accident outside, you won't get an ambulance and go to a government hospital. What am I paying 48% tax, 30% income tax, 18% GST for? If I don't get a good quality of life, I don't get a
I know. Monica Anand coming in.
It is my right to demand it.
All right. I have some breaking news also coming in. Breaking news coming in at this moment. It's 8:46 a.m. We're about 2 hours and 15 minutes from the beginning of the budget presentation, and sources are telling us that the government is contemplating introduction of a joint tax filing system for married couples, a move aimed at reducing the overall tax burden on middle class households. Any details, Hina?
Well, this is a new idea. This is what the taxpayer body has proposed. Remember, government seeks proposals from everybody. So they've been pushing really hard that the government should allow joint taxation for couples, given the 12 lakh bonanza we got, because now CAs feel that if you allow husband and wife to collectively file income tax returns, so their outgo in terms of tax is going to be lower. That's the only little argument.
Monica Anand.
I have a little bit of a wild idea on this. Is it a precursor to a uniform civil code? Because when they finally bring that out, something called the HUF will go away, the Hindu Undivided Family, which is a tax break too. And this has been a real problem with certain groups. My sense is they're probably doing this as a chess move to then bring about that UCC later in the year. But you know, other than nudging people to get married.
In the budget, are we going to see the element of a big, bold political reform on UCC, Madhav?
I just want to, I mean, UCC, of course, is something that's on the anvil. We've seen it implementation in various states, including Uttarakhand. But what this could possibly do is what we were discussing earlier. Without actually changing the tax slabs, if there's higher disposable income with middle class families, that's something that's surely going to go down very well with the public of this country if that does happen. At the moment, we are learning that this is a proposal, but if that does happen, how much of this will actually bring in more cash into the pockets of middle class families is certainly going to be a very, very big question. And also, does it bring in into the ambit the possibility of any kind of otherwise evasion that we may have seen, because it's often family members where a lot of tax evasion happens. So from the government's tax collection perspective also, what is the impact it will have, we don't know. But certainly if this does happen, it's going to be one of the most talked about proposals in this budget.
Well, Anand Ranganathan, tax terrorism.
Very brief. अब मैं कुछ बोलूंगा तो बोलेंगे कि बोलता है. The UCC.
बोलता तो है.
हाँ बोलता है.
बोलता तो है. बोलता तो है. वो तो बोलना पड़ेगा.
Deficit में.
There is only one person I know who owns a 100 crore flat in Gurgaon, and he's Tehsin's relative. But you know, coming to UCC,
you're talking about which relative? The one?
Him to say the name.
Yeah. Why are you saying names today? Why are you so coy this morning? Why are you so coy? You're not naming Vivek Srivastava's country. You're not naming his relative. What is your problem this morning? Coffee nahi mili hai?
I think, yeah. No, but just as a nitpicking, the UCC, the entire thing is a sham. It's not a uniform civil code anymore. Even in Uttarakhand, they have excluded the ST community from it, so it's not uniform. And if that comes out, they will exclude more and more communities. So I think, yes, a budget might give a political message, but right now it needs to give a finance and economic message. And that is, let us unshackle you.
Tax terrorism. Do you agree with
can I just
and
yes,
HNI?
Yeah, no,
yes,
so
there is
the
tax terrorism.
part. So there is, yes, there is a problem of corruption where the tax is collected, okay? It's not just restricted to the government. The private sector is complicit because the lawyers and the CAs have been part of the feeding chain. So there is a whole culture of corruption, unfortunately, in this country, which is very deep-rooted. So it is the lawyers and the CAs in the large corporates and medium corporates who have been part of this whole graft. So it's not just the government. The ball is also definitely with the private sector.
Well,
as well.
it's a problem that has its roots deep down into our society, if you may want to call it that, the social habits that are existing. To weed this out, do we need participation from citizens as well? Well, that we are talking about a reform at a large scale. I need to take a short break. I'll take that short break and come back right to Mr. Gurcharan Das and Rohit Azad.